It is the 9th of January. We have 7 games to cover. We have an injury update on Paolo Banchero, Ja Morant maybe coming back. Joel Embiid out again. There's some surprising news. Let's dive into all of this. This is the Thursday pregame show. Let's go balls deep.
I'm the type to get shit done. You the type to observe. March Madness on my speakers, but today's November 23rd. Got something loud in the blunt, yeah. I don't say what I want, yeah. Probably somewhere sunny getting tan. Foreign women in the sun, yeah. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. Got my brothers with me. Got my brothers with me, and my mama's healthy. That's all that I need.
Welcome to the Balls Deep podcast, brought to you by Fantasy Basketball International. I'm Adam King. Find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at AdamKing91. Find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere, everywhere you consume your fantasy basketball content. Please, as always, I do always ask this. Please go and like, subscribe, thumbs up, download. Download is important. We are part of the Old Man Squad at Old Man Squad on Twitter. 7 games to get into. We are coming a little bit later today. I just finished recording with Steve St. Pierre doing the Menace Podman show. And of course, we went over time. That I'm assuming he will release that at some point today. So if you're looking for 90 minutes, which was only meant to be 60 minutes of 2 guys talking about fantasy basketball, go and check out that show. I will, of course, as I always do, tweet out links and things like that. Let's get into the games very quickly. As I said, 7 of them tonight. First game, Timberwolves taking on the Magic. We'll get to the Magic side of things very shortly because the Timberwolves don't take very long to discuss. Mike Conley will continue to come off the bench. Yeah, look, 7 games, maybe you could stream him in tonight. But based on what we've seen the last few weeks, he is not someone we need to be rostering. DiVincenzo, I would be holding. He hasn't been super productive, but the minutes are probably stable enough. Jaden McDaniels, if you want to take a flyer on him tonight, as always, you might get some defensive stuff. You might even get lucky and get some points as well. For the Magic, so no Paolo tonight. He was questionable, but they were always gearing towards a Friday return, I think, and it sounds like that is what is going to happen tonight. So no Banchero. An update on Jalen Suggs. He has been diagnosed with a back sprain. It was one of the two. Let me have a look. I'm sure I saw an update. Where are you, Jalen Suggs? Yes, lower back strain. So this is going to be based on treatment and all sorts of things. So I would expect a week at least, if not 2. So for tonight, with no Paolo and no Suggs and no Franz Wagner, and of course no Gary Harris, Cole Anthony he's a little bit hit or miss, but he is really their only offensive player, or the only player that can sort of create their own shot. So he probably needs to be picked up tonight. Tristan Da Silva, we can continue to roll with him for at least one more game. He's been, again, hit or miss, but the minutes have been solid enough. Anthony Black, also worth a look. Wendell Carter, the whole Wendell Carter sort of Goga thing has been a little bit out of sorts, I'll say, over the last week. Goga, I still think is going to hold on to this starting center spot. But I was listening to, maybe it was the Roto World show yesterday, and they were just talking about the fact that Wendell Carter does space the floor a little better than Goga. So maybe when Paolo comes back, that's a look they go for, because it will allow Banchero to sort of work inside a little bit more. So we'll see. I'm still thinking it's going to be Goga who starts, but maybe we do get closer to a 25-23 minute split kind of thing, because it doesn't seem as though they want to play Carter at the 4 anymore. So we'll see. But anyway, for tonight, Cole Anthony, Tristan Da Silva, Anthony Black, Wendell Carter, I think are all names to look for if they're available. Golden State head to Detroit. For the Warriors, a few questionable tags here. Steph Curry, Dennis Schroeder, Draymond Green, Moses Moody, all questionable. Of course, Kuminga is out for the foreseeable future. Andrew Wiggins is also out due to personal reasons. Don't know what they are. They could be related to the fires, I guess. We have Kawhi Leonard, who is out due to the fires. The Lakers game tonight, Lakers and Hornets game, has been postponed. That is why we only have 7 games. No indication as to when that game will be played. Hopefully it is during the fantasy season, but sometimes they do just tack it on right at the end of the year. So keep an eye out for that one. The Lakers also play a significant portion of their next 2 weeks, I think, in LA or in the LA region. So the Fires, we get pretty limited coverage here in Australia of the Fires, so I don't know exactly what's going on, but it does sound like it's still a very significant issue, obviously. And so just keep an eye out for further missed games from both the Lakers and the Clippers, depending on where they're playing. Something to monitor there. But for the Warriors, obviously they're in the region, but not in LA. Keep an eye on this injury report. They do play early, which is good. It means we should know before lineups lock. If Curry, if Schroeder, if Green, if any of these guys are out, they sort of impact one another. But Buddy Hield will play. He was okay in that last game. I still don't think he's someone we have to roster, but you could stream him in tonight, especially if a couple of these guys are out. Lindy Waters, if we think way back to early in the season, he had 1 or 2 games where he just exploded. Maybe we get one of those games tonight. I don't know. It's going to be hard to know until there's so many players questionable here. So until we get an indication of who's in and who's out, Schroeder would be an ad if Curry is out. If Curry plays, if Green plays, if Moody plays, I don't think Schroeder is someone we need to have. So a lot of moving pieces there. No moving pieces really for Detroit. Asar Thompson is probable to return from his illness, so we will assume he plays. I don't know whether he starts. They have been tinkering with that starting lineup, but I do think he will play enough to be rostered. As long as you don't need points and you don't need efficiency from the line, he will get rebounds, he will get defensive stats. So probably a rosterable player. Tim Hardaway, if you need threes, he's been better. I will give him credit there. Beasley is still obviously the preferred choice, but Hardaway has moved at least into a 12 onto the radar. Let's say that. Toronto at Cleveland for the Raptors. They didn't win yesterday, but quickly looked better. So we're rostering him, Barrett, Barnes, Pirtle, these guys. Grady Dick, we need to keep an eye on. I did say I would hold him for one more game and see how he looks tonight, and I will be doing that. If he is pretty limited, I think we can move on from him. And with a healthy roster, we're not looking at a Olynyk or Boucher or Brown or any of those guys. For the Cavs, no Donovan Mitchell. He is out. Just rest. Nothing more. Nothing to worry about here. With him out, Ty Jerome may start. They could also move Max Strus into that starting lineup, or Karis LeVert, or Isaac Okoro. So no indication yet who will start. I like Jerome in terms of what he can do across the board. He can get assists, he can score, he can get steals. But they didn't have Strus when Jerome had that little breakout. And I feel maybe LeVert was even injured for a period there. So I'm not set on him. I do think he's someone to consider tonight, along with Strus and LeVert. But yeah, it's tough to prioritize one over the other. If you can afford to take a little bit of a flyer, I'd go Ty Jerome. just because I think he probably has the highest overall upside if things are clicking for him. Give him a look. And they are against a team that isn't necessarily defensively minded, so an opportunity for Jerome to have a good game. Portland at Dallas. For Portland, Donovan Clingan, he's obviously not tired anymore, so he will return, which will mean that Rob Williams will he's unlikely to play, and I think he's questionable anyway. Yeah, so apparently Rob Williams, what a joke this is. Rob Williams is questionable for rest when he had not played for 2 weeks, and he played, 15 minutes yesterday, and he now needs a rest. So that just highlights how much of a joke this system is with fining teams for resting players. Yeah, whatever. Denny Avdia should be rostered. Kamara should be rostered. Sharp, Simons, Ayton, probably Henderson. I would think that most of those guys are rostered in all leagues, if not most of leagues. We're not really looking at Clingan here. He's just not playing enough as long as Ayton. He will be a rosterable player at some point. We're not there yet. I'm considering dropping him in one of my leagues today. I'll go and have a look at who's on waivers. For the Mavericks, we know that they're without Doncic and Kyrie. So Dinwiddie, Quentin Grimes, Najee Marshall, all should be rostered at the moment. No Gafford. Well, he's questionable. It doesn't really impact Lively too much. Gafford isn't playing enough. Although, against this team, they are going to need to go big against Clingan and Ayton. So Gafford could push to 20 minutes if he does return, which if you need blocks and rebounds, you could give him a look. His return would obviously impact Maxi Kleber, but I don't think we were rostering him anyway. Houston at Memphis. Houston without Jabari Smith. Tari Eason is doubtful again, so let's assume he doesn't play. So hopefully we just see a lot more of Amen Thompson again. He's been playing fantastic. Cam Whitmore, if you need points, he can put up points in a hurry. As I've said, I'm not sure what's going on here with the rotation because he should be, in my eyes, playing 25 minutes, but he's just not. So I think he's okay as a back-end stream points guy. For the Grizzlies, we have Ja Morant questionable, Desmond Bain questionable, Jaren Jackson questionable, Santi Aldama questionable. If Ja returns, Scottie Pippen will go back to being sort of 18 minutes, 22 minutes. Ja will, I assume they will ease him back in coming off his shoulder injury. That's if he does play. If Jackson is out, we probably get, Aldama would probably start, but he is also questionable. They could move Kennard in and go small. Laravia can sort of play as a makeshift 3-4. John Conchar could come back into the rotation. There's streaming value here in Memphis, but again, unless we get clarification on who's in and who's out, which we might, they play at 8 p.m. Eastern, so we could get some updates before 7. Then I'd look at Brandon Clark, Luke Kennard. All those names I mentioned could have some value tonight if players are out. But if Morant plays, if Bain plays, if Jackson plays, if Aldama plays, then I don't really think we need Clark or Kennard or Laravia or Conchar. Pippen we probably hold. He's sort of I talked about this with Steve on the Menace Podman show. He's almost like a handcuff. We don't typically handcuff in fantasy basketball, but with Ja Morant's injury track record, Pippen, he probably will do enough most nights, just get some assists and points and steals to be a soft hold, and then you wait for the next Ja Morant injury. So keep an eye on the injury report there because there might be some value. Zach Edey has been trending down, sort of, his playing time. So hopefully he can get things back on track here and push up to 25 to 27 minutes. I'm still holding him, But yeah, it has been a little rough period here for him. Atlanta at Phoenix, Trae Young probable again. He should play. Bogdan Bogdanovic questionable along with Onyeka Okongwu. Vit Krejci has been starting, and I thought he's been playing okay, but not to the point where we need to roster him. Same goes for Zachary Ricochet. I know with Jalen Johnson out, he plays a bit more, but he doesn't do a lot. I think I picked him up in 1 or 2 leagues for the last game and then dropped him. Maybe I did end up holding him in one. Yeah, I don't know. He's sort of okay, but not exciting. If Okongwu is out, this would have been the Larry Nance show, but Larry Nance, of course, is out as well. So if Okongwu doesn't play, look, do we get some Dominic Barlow dusted off? David Roddy? Who knows what they're going to do here with only, because Clint Capella can't play more than about 26 minutes, I don't think. So they will probably just have to go small, but they don't even really have a small ball center. Ricochet, I don't think, can play center. Hunter isn't really someone that can step in there. So, yeah, let's see. It could be a weird rotation in Atlanta. For Phoenix, they will continue to roll with Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic off the bench. I think Nurkic is probably a drop at this point. Grayson Allen, I don't mind for threes. Ryan Dunn for defense and some threes as well. And Mason Plumlee, he's not playing starters minutes, but he's playing enough to be a rebound / sort of defensive streamer. He can also get some assists from time to time. So a little bit of streaming value there, despite the low minutes. And the last game of the night, Miami head to Utah. The Heat, coming off a good win against the Warriors. We will see how they look tonight against the Jazz, who are playing well. They're dealing with some injuries, but they've been playing well. Terry Rozier, I still think, I don't know, maybe I'm just barking up the wrong tree here, but I think he is okay as a hold, just with the opportunity that's in front of him. And then Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, Duncan Robinson would be the other three. I'd probably have Jaquez at the top just because he's starting. I think Jovic is probably the better player, but yeah, I would go with Jaquez because he's starting. But I do think Jovic is still someone we could consider. He's been playing well. And Duncan Robinson, we know if you need threes, look at him. For the Jazz, no Bryce Sensabaugh, no John Collins, no Keontae George. Shame for Sensabaugh because he was playing really well. So this is sort of an opportunity for him, which he's missing out on. Isaiah Collier will start. His offense continues to be very rough, but steals and assists, he is okay. Johnny Juzang, I don't know, not that appealing. Actually, Cody Williams also not that appealing. They're playing minutes, but along with Filipowski, they just don't really do enough. I think there's far better streaming options tonight with 7 games. And that is all the games. Let's have a look at some quick questions. Dan Jackson appreciates my podcast. Thanks. I appreciate doing them. Even though this one is a little bit rushed because I do have to start work. Would I drop Nurk or Naz Reid to open up a streamer spot in a points league? Yeah, I'd drop Nurk. I'm okay with that. Hello, Albert. Hello, Jay Sizzle. Shining Knight sent a question. Did you just send it then? I mean, I'll go and have a look. Once I'm logged on to work and stuff like that. Yeah, there we go. I've got it. Okay, it's in the requests. That's why it doesn't pop up with a notification. Yep, I will have a look at that today. Joseph Kim, drop Dante, PJ, or Draymond. Who would I drop there? I wouldn't drop PJ. Strong in rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, weaker in points, threes, but I don't want to punt threes. So I wouldn't drop PJ. I mean, Draymond, his strengths are rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. So if you're already strong in those, then you could drop him because he isn't going to help you in threes free throws or points, really. Dante will help you in those categories. So if that's where you're sort of going, if you think moving off Draymond, you'll still be strong enough in those 4 categories, then I think that's okay. Shining Knight felt bad for Dan. Yeah, it sounds like he's okay. He has recorded a show and done a little update, so I haven't looked at those yet, but I will. There's a lot going on in LA at the moment. Obviously, I talked about this with Steve and the fact that fire does not discriminate. So we're seeing schools burn down, we're seeing celebrities' houses burn down, and then thousands of other people losing their homes. So yeah, not good in LA at the moment. Alex says, is Suggs upside high enough to hold through injury in a 10-team points league? Half your team is injured. Yeah, look, it's a tricky one with a back injury because we don't have a firm timeline. I think he's probably worth holding at this point until if it gets to sort of more than a week and we don't have an update, maybe we look at moving on. But I think for now, you probably should. Strus had most minutes off the bench yesterday. Is that an indicator that he's their 6th man? Look, I think it's him and Levert. They're the 2 pretty clear 6th men, and it really depends on the matchup. Most nights, I think it will be Strus over Levert, just because I think Levert's skill set is a little bit, what's the word? I don't know what the word is, but they need his floor spacing out there to allow Bam to function. And I know Bam is shooting threes, but he's not a good 3-point shooter. So I think Strus is probably their preferred 6th man most nights, but both are probably in the discussion. Rob Williams did put in an honest quarter's worth of work yesterday. What have we got? Let's just get to questions, only because I have to go to work. How much do I put into changing your roster with playoffs in mind to maximize games? Look, you can look at it more and more as we get closer to the playoffs. But in today's game, you do have to have a look at, or in today's world, NBA world, you need to also look at who they play. Are there back-to-backs? Who do they play for? Is there going to be shutdown? Are they going to rest? Is it going to be blowout? Like, there's a lot to factor in. It's not as simple as this team has 4 games, this team has 2 games, because it might be that this team who has 4 games might have a back-to-back, which will be only 3 games. And if they play for Utah, they could rest. So I do start to look at it a little bit, but the teams that are sort of in that 4 to 11 range are probably the teams that are not going to rest because they're playing for either a play-in spot or a play-off spot. Your top teams, your Bostons, your Clevelands, and then your Washingtons, Charlottes, those teams at the other end, they may have 4 games, but it doesn't mean that the players will actually play 4 games. Sar and Bilal were both dropped to the wire yesterday. Who do I prefer? Ooh. I think both are rosterable. Let me just minimize this screen here. Who would I prefer? I think if you're looking at sort of across the board production, I think it's Bilal. He does a little bit more. Sar is really just blocks, rebounds. He's a decent enough rebounder. But you have to think he does not score efficiently. Neither player do, but Sar, as a center, you usually want high percentages from that spot. So I think I'd probably go Bilal slightly. Is Harden still a top 20 guy for points leagues? I think he's probably pretty close. I don't think a ton changes for him. He hasn't been scoring a lot anyway, so even with Leonard back, Kawhi back, it shouldn't impact. Do I think Westbrook can be top 70? I think he'll try. I think there's a chance. Yeah, I do. Tyus and D'Lo were dropped. Are they a pick up to stash away? Yes. D'Lo has higher upside because we just know he does. Tyus is pretty locked into his role. What he's been doing is what he will continue to do. So I think both are worth a look. If you can take a bit of a risk, I would go D'Angelo Russell because I think he could be top 60 if they do just decide to let him play and play a lot. Where I think Tyus Jones is more of a sort of top 120. He obviously has his strengths, which are assists and steals. Although he hasn't been stealing the ball a ton this season. So I think, yes, they're both okay to look at. I would prefer D'Angelo Russell if you can take a bit of a flyer. And who would I say has better chance of top 40 rest of season, Siakam or Garland? It's pretty close, I think. I would say maybe Siakam. Just because I think he plays for the Pacers, as I said, and they will be in that range. Cleveland at the moment are streets ahead. So there could be, for the last few weeks of the season, it could be that Garland misses a game a week or something like that. So, yeah, I might go Siakam just in a points league. I think that'd be fine. Looking to do Westbrook and Isaiah Hartenstein for Siakam. I think that's a fair trade in your league. All right, that will do. I've got to go and start work. We'll be back with a post-game show this afternoon. Remember to go and check out the Menace Podman show that will release. I'll check it. I'll do a tweet if it does come out. So go and check that one out. If you've got 90 minutes of your life that you don't need to get back, go and listen to us talk about fantasy basketball. That will do. Thank you, everyone, for listening, tuning in, downloading everything. I'm Adam King. This has been the Balls Deep pre-game show. Until next time, catch up.
You just listened to another episode from the Fantasy Basketball International Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us. And for more information about joining our community, please check out our website at FBI.